Warriors! This is the moment you've all been waiting for. The requested guest coming back. I know we blew your mind last time with the Shemitah, Gematria, but today we again have our special guest. My name is Coach JV. I am the top health and mindset coach in the world. What you believe in your heart, you think in your mind will eventually become your words and become your reality. If you can see it in your mind, eventually you can hold it right here in your hands. Listen, what you repeatedly do gets ingrained in your subconscious mind. What gets ingrained in your subconscious mind becomes an unconscious activity. So the things you're experiencing within your current reality are just subconscious mind programming that is manifesting itself within the physical reality. Today, what we want to do is we want to talk about balance. You're going to hear a lot of different things. I know a lot of you are very excited about this interview, but today I'm going to share with you, have an open mind, because this stuff is going to blow your mind. Let me repeat that. Today, you want to have an open mind because today it is going to blow your mind. So Waters Above Crypto, how you been? How you been since our last interview?
Oh man, I'm doing better every day. I'm always focused on positivity, always manifesting abundance. How about you?
I love it, man. It's been great. Same thing. We had our first meet and greet in Las Vegas. Probably a very low vibration place, but I'll tell you what, we changed the vibration out there. I think we changed the vibration in Las Vegas for the first time in history. It was pretty cool, man.
Oh man, did you do any sightseeing while you were out there?
We didn't. I stayed really close. We stayed at Circa Hotel, which was really nice. We did a meet and greet at the Circa Hotel and pool. I'd highly recommend it if anybody's going out there. And it was just great. We had a big XRP community, crypto community. Ironically, we had our community there. And then we had the NFL was having some NFT conference, literally one suite over, which was kind of cool. So it was pretty neat. It was really neat to see the high vibration people that came out. That's the only way I can explain it. We had this area of hundreds of people that came to the meet and greet, and you could see the high vibration, purpose-filled people that were invested in the crypto space or mindset space. And it seemed like people came to Vegas to escape, and we all came for a purpose, which was really, really cool.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, it's nice to be able to bring in your own energy and be able to shift the surroundings.
Yeah, it was awesome, man. So a couple things I want to kick us off to kind of get the ball rolling. Then I'm going to kick it over to you. So there's a lot of things happening, Warriors. And when I brought Waters Above Crypto on last time, a lot of you were like, holy cow, it just opened up Pandora's box just a little tiny bit so we could see inside. But right now what's happening, we're in the 77th year of the Bretton Woods conference. I talk a lot about President Nixon, 1971 August. I've showed you guys the video when he made the announcement, we're attaching from the gold standard. We have the Nixon shock 50-year anniversary in just 3 weeks, and then the Shemitah starting 24 days after that. So I want to go ahead and kick it over to you and start there. I know you got a lot of information to share, and we're open-minded. We're ready to hear from you. And I'll tell you what, I'm just very, very grateful because I was in banking for 12 years and I wasn't even exposed, I don't know why, to the Shemitah, but when you opened up my mind to it, I went deep down the rabbit hole and I started to connect a lot of numbers, signs, symbols together, but nowhere at the level that you're doing it. So I'm very grateful. And what I want to make very clear to everybody on my channel, and I'm sure on your channel as well, is we're just looking to inform people from all different sides. And so my biggest thing is creating balance within the communities, right? I love XRP, but I'm not married to XRP. A lot of people say I'm not. I'm married to the vibration, the high vibration that I'm creating within the world through this ecosystem of this technology that we can reach people. I'm married to high vibration, love, positivity, and what I feel like I'm divinely guided, divinely protected, divinely directed to people like Waters Above Crypto, to the people in our community, and to the cryptocurrencies that I invest in. So I just wanted to start with that. I want to make sure it's very clear on our channel. I don't get caught up in left and right, up and down, C word, non-C word. What I get caught up in help you become the best version of yourself. And so I want to thank you, Waters Above Crypto, for doing that for our channel as well. So I just threw out a lot of information. So what is going on with the 77th year anniversary of the Bretton Woods Conference?
Yeah, so the long and short of it is the Bretton Woods Conference was essentially establishing the IMF and the World Bank. It was called something else before it became the World Bank as we know it. And that happened on July 1st through 22nd of 1944. So there's some really key numbers that go into this. And I haven't really deep dived into a lot of this information, even with the people on my channel. Yesterday, I was working really hard to get all these numbers ready, and it just so happened to be in perfect timing with our second interview. So this will be a lot of fresh information for everyone. I'm really excited to share, but it's very important, first and foremost, that we just start off by remembering any double or triple numbers, such as 11, 22, 33, or perhaps, when you're walking around and you see the clock says 11:11, and we hold this as such a significance. And regardless of why it's happening to you or why it isn't, these numbers have always played a big role in finances and big changes in our economy, or perhaps even world wars or significant events. And this Bretton Woods conference is no different. I mean, the numbers are just straight up in your face. First and foremost, it happened in 1944, and there was 44 allied nations who visited. The dates, including July 1st through 22nd, if you're including the first and last days, that's 22 days long. So these numbers are pretty obvious, but pretty much my breakdown of this was July 22nd was the last day of the conference in 1944, and that actually marked what was last week, the 77th year from that date. Again, remember these double numbers. So this conference was 22 days long, counting the first and the last days of the gathering of 44 allied nations in the year 1944. So you get the 77s with the anniversary, you get the 22s, you get the 44s. You're seeing the pattern here. And if you consider the gathering actually had 730 delegates of 44 nations, and 22 was the amount of days that this event happened, you add that all up, 730 plus 44 plus 22, you get 796. And in the rules of numerology, 7 plus 9 plus 6 gives you 22. So you just keep coming back to these numbers no matter how it goes. So the last day of the conference was on the 22nd of July. You add up all those numbers, you get 22 in the rules of numerology. And if you measure from the beginning of that year of January 1st to July 22nd, not including New Year's Day, you get 202 days. Again, using the rules of numerology, you remove the zeros and you return back to 22. So 22s everywhere. And the reason why I'm really fascinated with this 22 number in particular is because this upcoming Shemitah, which we'll deep dive into a little bit later, will be in the Hebrew year of 5,782, which using the rules of numerology gets reduced down to 22, and it will be in the 22nd year of the 21st century. So this 77-year importance, it does come back to the video that I remember you made where you were showing your audience about the Nixon shock. And yeah, that'll be the next thing that we could talk about.
Yeah, let's talk about. So remember, guys, on August 1971, so the World Economic Forum was created in January 1971. And then there's Nixon comes on to a regular program show, makes an announcement, right? Think about this. Everybody's already in the control mechanism. They're staring at their TV. He comes on, he makes an announcement to the people who are involved in the American dream, right? Buying a home in the 1950s. And we'll go into that a little bit later. But he, 1971, he pops on a regular program show and he says, hey, everybody, we're detaching from the gold standard. Go back to your regular program show. So let's go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely a monumental event, and you're going to see how the numbers are all caught up in this. So, first and foremost, the Nixon shock event of when he spoke to the world, not just the United States, because, the world reserve currency is the US dollar. So it was definitely the United States showing its presence on the world stage. And that event was on August 15th of 1971. So we're actually approaching the 50th year anniversary in less than 3 weeks. And what's really special for your audience and everyone who's listening to this is that this actually started on August 13th, which was a Friday the 13th. And guess what August the 13th is this year? Friday. It's a Friday the 13th.
Wow.
So this is so important because if anyone pays attention to these Friday the 13th and how they play their role, again, on the March crash of 2020, the bottom prices that we saw in all the cryptocurrencies was on the March 13th day, the Friday the 13th. It was when Bill Gates stepped down from Microsoft and headed down his vaccine agenda thing. But anyways, the point being is that 13 number is insane. The fact that we're 50 years separated from that date, but the same days are in alignment. We have that Friday the 13th to the Friday the 13th. So that's another important thing to remember, especially with the 13s, because this actually happened 13 months before the Shemitah of 1972. So you have the
Wow.
event starting on the 13th. It was basically high-ranking officials got together with the White House, the Treasury, and the Nixon administration at Camp David and started debating what they were going to announce to the public on the 15th of August. So that's kind of the, little information on that. So that all happened 13 months before the Shemitah of 1972. And this event is important because it ended or abolished the Bretton Woods system. So just like I was saying before, with the 77th anniversary of Bretton Woods happening last week, and the number 7 is so important because it literally came out of Nixon's mouth on the speech that he spoke to the public. He brought up the number 7. And this is also something we've heard Christine Lagarde discuss, the 7 good years and the 7 bad years. But now, what's really interesting about this is we get into the Shemitah a little bit and how this plays the whole role, because Shemitah is a 7-year cycle. Shemitah means release in Hebrew, and it's the sabbatical year. It's a year where the agriculture doesn't get tended to, so it's kind of like a rest year. It's called the sabbatical year. But every 7 years we see that there's some financial turmoil, there's some big changes in finance, and I don't suspect that this upcoming Shemitah will be any different. Again, the Shemitah starts on Rosh Hashanah, which is on between the 6th and 8th of September, which is coming up very, very soon. And what I wanted to discuss was, like I told you, with the 77. Now, 7 Shemitahs, and that gives you 49 years. So 7 years of 7 cycles. On the 50th year, you have what's called Jubilee. So Jubilee is very important. And some people have talked about this idea of like a super Shemitah, and they discuss the 70-year cycle. I don't actually hold that as any importance in my work. I think the 50 year is more important because it's literally in the Bible. So it's not speculation. The 49 years are the 7 cycles of 7 leading to the 50th year gives you Jubilee. And this will be the 50th year anniversary since this Nixon shock event. So the 77 of Bretton Woods, again, 7 times 7, 49, leading to the 50th anniversary. These numbers are so amazing. And one final note, after Nixon gave this speech the next day, on the 16th of August, the Dow Jones gained 33 points. Coming back to the 33. And if you add the date numerology of 8 for August plus 1, 6 for the 16th, plus 1 plus 9 plus 7 plus 1 for 1971, that gives you 33. The Dow Jones literally rose 33 points the next day on the 33 date numerology. You can't make this stuff up.
Wow. Okay. So people are probably wondering, so you got the Shemitah. So it blew my mind with the Shemitah. Now help me understand. I was deep diving Shemitah. I don't have a lot of knowledge on it. And my understanding, when you talked about the agriculture, right? So what I read and understood is it teaches people to get prepared the year before the Shemitah. And then the people who prepare during the Shemitah are rewarded to be able to feed themselves for the famine up until the next. Is that how it works? Am I saying that correctly?
So it's kind of based on an agricultural cycle that was mandated by the Torah. And just to give like a quick definition of it, during Shemitah, the land is left to lie, and all agricultural activity, including plowing, planting, pruning, harvesting, would be forbidden by Jewish law. So it's moreover to just have a rest year for the people and to give the land a rest. But it just so happened, throughout the creation of a monetary system, which every civilization has always done, what happened was they started implementing this into their debts. So essentially, if you were taking out loans or you were, caught up in any borrowing at the time, lending, you would be forgiven of your debts every 7-year cycle or every Shemitah. Now, that's when you start looking at the stock market, predominantly the S&P 500. You get data that goes back to all the way in like the 1800s. And you could see that this 7-year cycle is coordinated with every single major market correction, including the foundation of the year of Israel, leading up to the 50 years later, which leads you to September 11th. And then you have basically 50 years before that. You could see the cycles are very obvious because you have the Panic of 1901, Panic of 1907, leading up to the Great Depression in 1929. And then you have the World Wars. You have all of that stuff going on. pretty much to the T, leading up to the 1971 Nixon shock, and then Shemitah in 1972. So these 7-year cycles, we're coming up on the next one. It has
Now,
its agricultural presence, but today, in today's day and age, agriculture is so mechanized and so, like, it's been digitized to a sense, and
yeah.
logistics are so based on computers now. So it almost has nothing to do with agriculture today.
No, and now what blew my mind is because I was in banking for 12 years, right? I'm no longer in banking, but you brought up how they use it. They use the Shemitah in regards to financial to move the markets, correct?
Yeah, well, so essentially there needs to be a continual, well, I use the word needs, but essentially because we run on a fiat system, the stocks are always hyperinflate, the stocks are always going up because as the dollar devalues itself, the debt-based assets go the opposite direction. So
Mm,
what they're doing is they're able to manipulate the market in these cycles so that they correct it, but they don't correct it into an area that will just continue going down to zero because we are on a fiat based system. So it's a very sophisticated mechanism of what some people would call market manipulation, but it's also actually just kind of one of those things that if you pay attention to, you'd be able to make a move on. Like one great example is the 2008 housing crisis and how there's
yep.
been these like financial rock stars that have grown from this event, like Michael Burry, for instance. But Michael Burry, if he just knew that it was a Shemitah, then why why get all technical and like have all this data of like the housing bubble? Like, of course, it's always a bubble because that's how the whole market
Mm.
operates. For 7 years, it's going up, and then it has a correction. Then it keeps going up. Then it has a correction. So, this is it's a system that's ironclad. It's always going to continue to inflate because of the fiat system being devalued.
Okay, so now we have, President Nixon, 24 days after that, right, is the Shemitah. We also have the 70th block of the Bitcoin halving coming into September. Do those play into part with does Bitcoin halving have anything to do with it, going parabolic?
Well, that's interesting. But if I look at technical analysis,
Mhm.
what I see in the charts is that we don't get a full blown recovery for the cryptocurrencies, predominantly Bitcoin, actually, until the second week of October. So
Mm.
that might have a little bit to do with Zodiac, but also because the full moon comes in right after the start of the Shemitah. So what's going on here is the moon cycles have been playing a very, very
Mm.
strong role in the Bitcoin chart since 2021. If anyone, visits my work, you'll see that I like to use the new and full moon as indicators to be able to determine price action. So what we're getting around full moons is a bearish energy, and what we're getting around a new moon is a bullish energy. And the Shemitah actually happens on a new moon. So what I believe will happen is we're going to get like a fake out breakdown into the month of September, where we see cryptos go up in the early September into mid-September timeframe, and then they're going to correct one last time into the full moon of September, and then you will see a recovery into October. And I believe the bull run for Bitcoin and all cryptos will end in the month of December of 2021.
Right. Is that what I saw? It's one of the comments too, like how JP Morgan said, if you want to get rich, follow the charts. If you want to become a billionaire, follow astrology. Is
Yeah.
this lining up with that?
Well, that's what I'm trying to do both because JP Morgan had the liquidity to move the market and I don't. So what I need to do and what my supporters need to do, what we all need to do at the lower financial rungs is we need to learn what side of the manipulation should we put ourselves in. So no one here should be ever complaining about manipulation because manipulation is just what made all of your cryptos go up for the last year. Now it's about being on the right side of the manipulation. Now that's the hardest part, and that's where I believe Gematria, numerology, and astrology play their role.
Yeah, so let's jump into Gematria. If that I'm saying it incorrectly. Gematria. So what are you seeing with Gematria coming up?
Well, that's pretty interesting that you brought that up because I do see there's some confluence with the zodiac, and it has to do with the word Leo. So the word Leo is giving you this so I'll bring up my Gematria chart real quick. You don't have to
Cool.
change anything. You don't need
Okay.
to change anything if you don't want to, but I could just explain this for everyone. So Gematria is essentially applying a numerological value onto a word. And by doing this, I started actually applying the zodiacs and how they work, because in my opinion, we're at like the final yard, like the final inning of the game of a bull run. And this is the time that we all really need to pay attention. So any information is important at this time. But Leo in Gematria is from July to August. That would be the zodiac. And in Gematria, it gives you the 32. Now, that 32 is kind of interesting because the time frame of the year will be the 32nd week while we're in Leo. And you could do the same thing for Virgo. When you type in Virgo, you're getting in Gematria, you're getting that 35. And during Virgo, August 23rd through September 22nd, you'll be in the 35th week of the year. So we're getting some confluence here, and I'm kind of utilizing like a mixture of things. I think that in the time frame of Leo, we're going to be getting a little bit of a relief rally, and then in the time frame of Virgo, we're going to return back down to like maybe more medium range prices. So for instance, like XRP had a low of like 51 cents. Now I could see it going up above $1 into the middle of August. Then I could see it coming back down to like 70 cents in September. Then after we clear through Virgo, I see everything coming back to bullish momentum. You know, we're not really in a bull market we don't know that the bull market is still going until we create new higher highs. Right. So anyone who's new to technical analysis, until Bitcoin breaks above 66,000, we're in a bearish position. So I don't see us getting to that level until the second week of October.
Okay. Now you're talking about the Satoshi white paper. How does that line up with the numbers that you're talking about?
Yeah, man, that's really interesting. So the Satoshi white paper was released on October 31st of 2008. So it was released on Halloween, which in the occult, that's Samhain. So that's like a ritual holiday. But anyways, the correlation here is, remember I was talking about how we have an upcoming Friday the 13th in August?
Yep.
So that upcoming Friday the 13th, that's in August, will be the 224th day of the year. And in Gematria, Satoshi Nakamoto equals 224. So what's crazy about this is because the day before, on August 12th, will be exactly 666 weeks and 6 days since the Satoshi white paper was released.
Wow.
So that's a huge numerological significance. We have that 666 weeks between the release of the Satoshi white paper. And it just so happens to be happening during like all of this crazy stuff that's going on with the Nixon shock and everything else. So again, this is like 2 days before, or the exact 666th week would be 2 days before the upcoming new moon. And that's when I expect things to look pretty bullish. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Bitcoin go to 51,000 to even 52,000 by the 8th or so of August. It's very soon.
Wow. That's amazing. So a lot of people don't realize you called XRP right at 51 cents, right? You called the exact number, right?
Yeah. Well, it was actually kind of easy because XRP equals 15 in Gematria. So again, everything works in reverse as well, like a mirror. And I always say as above, so below. So when I saw it hit 51 cents and then also all the other technicals that were aligning with that, I felt really confident. And it was also great because a couple weeks later, we almost hit back to the same level, but we were slightly higher. Now in technical analysis, that would be considered a higher low, which is bullish. So that would just be what's, some people would also call that a double bottom. And that's great. Those are very bullish things. And I'm very confident that we're probably never going to see below 50 cent XRP ever again.
Wow. And I haven't asked you this before. So what is your thoughts on the XRP case and like what's going on with with all the system and the numbers and the Shemitah? Because once you taught me about the Shemitah and it deals into the finances, and, we know there's manipulation. I've been teaching that for a long time. But what is your thoughts on the XRP case?
Oh, man. Well, I look at everything regarding this case as sort of theatrics. And what's quite important for me is that when the case was happening, when it first kicked in and everything started going into like bearish hell for the XRP community, in my course, I actually have a video where in my course live during that day when XRP was 17 or 18 cents. I was I was screaming to everyone to buy XRP because I was so confident that that was the lowest we'll ever go. So whenever there's something that happens like that, it's very important to go the opposite direction of what everyone wants to do. It's like buying the blood in the streets or buying the fear. And so I'll start with that. My immediate reaction to the live price action that the quote unquote SEC case caused for Ripple was me getting bullish. So I'll start with that. Secondly, anything that has to deal with the U.S. government, but for a global financial instrument such as XRP, was kind of interesting for me because I've heard Brad Garlinghouse himself say that like 95% of the customer base for Ripple is international. And that puts such a tiny portion of U.S. customers. Now, I might be wrong by that figure, slightly off, but I believe he actually said that in a video. So I don't understand how 5% of the world can create a price correction that substantial. And then at the same time, with no clarity, we've watched XRP go from 17 cents to $1.96. So this also on the other end of the spectrum, it's the other extreme of like, how did this get so bullish during the time where there's still no clarity? Again, there's Tether, FUD, there's all this stuff going on with like China banning Bitcoin. Like this was all going on around a high $1 XRP. So now the way that I think is an opposites always. So this is interesting how it's all aligned with this moment, but I don't think there's any coincidences. I would assume that this case that happened with Jay Clayton and everything, the whole orchestration of it was probably predetermined years in advance to happen at the exact time that it happened. And I could probably do a lot of Gematria and everything to figure out that stuff. And on the other end, I would not be surprised if we see the SEC case come to clarity on a perfect day that has to deal with numerology, astrology, and Gematria. But with all that being said, even if we don't see this case come to the final, because I know like Hinman deposition is tomorrow, right? So even if we don't see anything come to fruition until February of 2022, I am still thinking that we could see a $7 to $8 XRP by January 4th or January 5th of 2022, like regardless of what happens with the case. So that's an extremely bullish price move. That's over a 10x from where we are today. Again, that's not financial advice, but that's just where my analysis brings me. And yeah, so I wouldn't also be surprised if we got clarity during the end of the bull run, and then for some reason XRP just does very well while everything else isn't. That's in the cards, and I think what people care about most in this is the price action of the coin. Very, very few people actually care about the technology. So just a quick my quick thoughts on that. The bigger reason why in my content I don't choose to be a part of a group like the XRP army or the Bitcoin maxis or whatever, the reason I don't like that behavior is because it takes people away from the technology. What I love about XRP is the technology. What I don't like about the XRP is how everyone is so infatuated with price action and this SEC case and all the other stuff that's going on. So it's the same thing with Bitcoin. Like when people have so much negative things to say about Bitcoin, and then we could talk about price action. Bitcoin went from less than a penny to $65,000. Like, can you name another crypto that's done that? No.
Right.
What Bitcoin did in the first year was it went from a penny to $31. So imagine we just saw XRP go from a penny to 30, then we could start having a conversation about like which one does better in price action. But at the same time, like if we only cared about price action, we would disregard the fact that it's a nascent technology that'll be part of the future. And I like to think about that as well. Like we're still early in this game.
Yeah, and I love what you said about that, because what it's funny because a lot of people come to crypto for freedom, right? For decentralization. And then they get into crypto and then they start these little groups and you're back in the same position. You're picking left, you're picking right. It's like that part really always threw me off. I'm like, what do you like? That's the whole point, is freedom, coming together, building the infrastructure of the new financial system. And that stuff always, because I love XRP because I'm an ex-banker and I understand the real world solve for banking. I went through executive banking school. I know how to scale banks. I love the technology and I understand the technology, but also I have a broad portfolio of fundamental cryptocurrencies that I believe are going to change the world, right? And so I love what you said about that, about creating that balance and not saying, hey, put all your eggs in XRP, and then ask yourself is, why are you doing that? Do you even know the technology? Do you even understand what it's doing and how it's going to support the economy? So one thing I want to talk about as well is, how did you get to this point? I mean, how did you get to this point of understanding all this stuff?
In regards to blockchain technology or finances?
Blockchain and it's finances, and I know we've talked a little bit about it before, but how did you? I mean, the knowledge just comes right off the top of your head.
Yeah, it's a great question. So I think what happened was I started a couple successful e-commerce businesses, and with that wealth, I started to become a little worried about the traditional banking system. And as that was all going on, it was like my higher self was like, learn about the Federal Reserve, learn about fiat, learn about this, learn about that. So I started just paying attention to that stuff. Like I think we've talked about this last time, where the second most valuable currency behind love is your attention. So if you can give your attention, like me and you, Coach JV, have the same amount of hours in the day, right?
Yep.
Like if you want to work out and you want to like study and you want to help your clients, you want to do all that stuff, that's a lot different than sitting around twiddling your thumbs looking at Instagram all day. Yep. So it's all about how we utilize our attention. And for me, like I'm obsessed with whatever it is that I get into. Whatever I get into, I try to become a champion of that thing. So even if it's something insignificant, like learning how to make the best spaghetti, like that's what I will be the best at. And I put my head down and I don't give up until I am the best of that. And if anyone comes in my space and says, you can't, you won't, you will not, I literally tell those people, don't talk to me, get away from me. I do everything in my own power to be focused and make sure that I'm progressing in this matrix. So when I started to learn all about that stuff regarding fiat and the Federal Reserve System, the whole crypto thing started to just instantly click. And the two cryptos that fortunately, the two cryptos that I learned about right away were Bitcoin and XRP. So Bitcoin was a good one because I was getting in at 8K, 7K. And again, with XRP, my average position is like less than 18 cents. So I was buying it at every undervalued moment. And now that we've seen a big price swing to the upside and the prices come down and all that, I'm like emotionless to it. I literally don't care. And I think that's been another huge thing is just spending a lot of time learning the charts, learning technical analysis. Like I know that you're not a technical analysis guy, and that's great. We should all leverage on each other's skills. But for me, one of my skills was working with numbers and these charts, and that all clicked with me pretty quickly. So the TA thing helped me to calm my emotions to the price action. And then that was just like, it all kind of made sense. But I think, the main background is just being more of a conscious spiritual individual, like being focused on just being highly vibrational and not focusing on things that keep me down, meditation, eating properly, exercise, all that stuff. That's really what kickstarted my journey into protecting my wealth and trying to help other people protect their wealth.
I love that, man. That's what attracted to me to you, because that's the same thing with me. I say I'm divinely guided, divinely protected, I was divinely guided to all this through my meditation, breathing, plant medicine experiences. And people may think that's weird, but this is why I'm here. That's why I walked out of corporate America, because I started to awaken within corporate America in a broken system. And I could see the system because I was starting to awaken inside. I was like at a 30,000 foot overview, becoming an observer of my life. And I'm like, this is really interesting. And with very similar stories, I started studying the Federal Reserve because I was in banking, scaling banks, asking where the money's coming from. And every time I asked the question, everybody seemed to giggle. And I'm like, what's so funny about this? I'm like, where the hell? I'm in banking school. And I'm like, where does the money come from? And they're, the Federal. And I'm like, why is that funny? That doesn't make sense to me. And so I just went down the rabbit hole as everybody else is going to get their cocktails at night. I went to the library and started studying, man. It's like, and the thing about, for people listening, the thing about opening up your mind and awareness, you link up with people like Waters Above Crypto. You start to open up your mind to a new awareness. You start to surround yourself with the right people, and you make much better decisions. And that was one of the things in the crypto space for me when I first got into it. I stopped listening to a bunch of different YouTubers, and I just got hyper focused on a few that I really was attracted to, their technical analysis, their fundamentals. And something you said that was really important, like for example, I got my team right here, one's sitting right next to me, one's in Germany. We have a technical analysis team. And so I'm not good at technical analysis, but I sure as hell surround myself with people who are. I think that's really important as well,
Oh, of course. Like, I mean, it's the same thing with me with these technologies. Like, I'm not the most savvy in, or I just don't have a lot of time to be learning about all these technologies. You know, like what I said before about like what attracted me to XRP and the love for XRP being behind the technology. Like I will sort of like clear up what I meant by that. Like blockchain as a whole is problematic for the future of humanity. Like going into a cashless society and blockchain being part of every little nook and cranny of everything will remove privacy and it'll create some pretty draconian changes. But what I meant by that was the technology in and of itself and why it is superior to the current system we have, Swift or whatever's going on. So I just want to clear that up because I might have spoken a little bit quicker than my mind. But the whole idea behind it is leveraging on other people's talents. Like that's a huge thing for a CEO. Like for me, studying CEOs, it's about block scheduling or scheduling yourself efficiently. It's about taking care of your health, making sure that you're divvying up your attention properly, but then also leveraging on other people who are more talented than you are at another skill. And the same thing goes for you. It's like what you excel in, you could offer that to them.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what are some future projects you're working on? Anything? Well, first of all, just so you guys know, in the link down below the description, you can go right to his channel. I'd highly recommend you subscribe. Make sure you subscribe, hit the notification button. His content is absolutely remarkable. That's why I had him on for the second time. Just blowing my mind. So how can people get a hold of you?
So yeah, my link will be in the description for my channel, and then also any of the videos on my channel, you could find my Patreon. That's where I do a lot of exclusive content. I actually just posted a video today in my Patreon for comparing the .com bubble, comparing to this current cryptocurrency bubble that we're in. So yeah, it's actually a pretty baller video because if you look at the price action that I show, the Amazon chart from 1998 to 2002 is almost identical to like what I see happening. So yeah, it's where I do a lot of exclusive content, and then also it'll give access to a Discord that I run, which is full of amazing people. Like we have like almost 600 people. They're all on this frequency. They're all trying to make sure that we take care of each other. It's not just all about crypto. It's also about empowering. It's also about educating ourselves on all the things that are going on in this world. And then and then I also have my email in the description of all my videos as well.
Awesome. Well, did a question for you around Gematria and the Shemitah. So what does that mean for the I love Warren Buffett. So the Warren Buffett indicator says the stock market's overvalued. I think the last one is 234%. So people keep asking me the question, what's going to happen with the stock market? Is it going to crash? Is there anything with the Gematria or the Shemitah that lines up with the stock market crashing?
Yes, actually, I do believe there will be some very important dates. 1 second while so the most important one, I believe, will be sometime in February of 2022, again, because we have the 2/2 date, the February 2nd, and then we also have February 22nd. And then between there is a bunch of important dates. So remember what I was talking about in the beginning of this with the 77th year anniversary of Bretton Woods. Well, February 1st will be the 77th year and 7 months. So the 777 is way more powerful than the 77. And then also on February 4th, it'll be 1 year, 11 months, and 11 days since the COVID crash of 2020 on February 24th. So that's there's a lot of significant dates that I'm working on for February and March. So to give you guys just a short and sweet answer, February or March will probably enter us into a possible recession for the stock market and the United States of America. America's in a very weird place right now with finances. So I see that there's going to be something kind of a culmination between the 2001 stock market and the 2007 or 2008 stock market. It's going to be a correction. So I don't doubt that Warren Buffett indicator. I don't know what that is. I don't use that, but all of the Gematria and all the numerology that I've done, the 22 number is pretty problematic. And remember, I told you that the Shemitah that we're moving into is the 5782, which gets reduced down to 22. And this will be in the year 2022. And for those that are more like into the esoteric arts and their study there, the 22 number is a master number, but it's also the master destroyer number. So it's taken both ways. It's the master builder number and the master destroyer number simultaneously. This is a pretty powerful number. And again, that's debatable. Some people might say that, oh, that's not true, or that's not the point, though. The 22s are so prevalent in this upcoming year, and I've already discussed that earlier in our chat.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, because they're talking about quantitative easing, maybe slowing it down in 2022, which that's what's keeping the stock market overvalued. You got companies that are worth billions that haven't increased any GDP, which is so interesting. Like, I'm just blown away. I mean, this information, I want to have you on for part 3, part 4, part 5. It's just wild, man. I'm just very thankful for all the information. And, you know, I would, like I said in the beginning, ask people to have an open mind. For example, like, I'll give you an example. You know, you got Bloomberg saying that the Tether case, right? That's from 3 years ago. And then all of a sudden you got Bloomberg saying that Amazon is going to be selling cryptocurrency or accepting cryptocurrency payments. And then Amazon comes out and says no. So it's like people are taking their financial information and making big financial decisions off of a media that's controlled by 6 conglomerates, right? So that's why we created these channels, to give you different sides of the coin. You know, I mean, there's a reason why JP Morgan says to get rich, follow the charts, to become a billionaire, follow astrology, right? This stuff it all had signs, symbols, wonders. And, you know, like you said, the alignment thing, when you start seeing the 1111, right, it was weird when you said that. There was like 111 people on here, which was pretty wild. And then when you were saying 222, there was 222 people on at that time. And, you know, what does that mean? Like, you know, a lot of people ask me that, the angel numbers and things like that, when you were talking about 222, there was 222 people. And when you were talking about 111, there was 111. And I didn't want to interrupt your flow, but what does that mean? Is that alignment, or like, how does that line up?
Yeah, I've definitely thought about that, because once you learn about Gematria more, you start to see that there is alignment in everything. Like that, I just recently had a podcast with a guy named Logan over at Decode Your Reality. He's an excellent decoder, and that's his work primarily. He'll show you how, like, if you look into your name and your birthplace and your, you know, the time of day you're born and all that, it's all in alignment with something. And then what you see is later in life, as you're becoming wiser, you're tapping into your wisdom, the code starts to work itself out better. Like, the creator of the code, whomever that is, and whatever you prescribe to, they are allowing you to have your best experience. But through that best experience, you need to be able to give up a lot of your fears, a lot of your ego. You need to be able to wash away a lot of the materialism. So in order to get to that version of you, whoever that is, and do you know that guy Russ? He's a rapper.
I do not.
Oh man, you should check him out, because he's like 28 years old, but he's very wise. I was watching this interview of him. Oh, and that's another thing. If anyone has free time, you want to listen to people who have done better in life than you have. Like, literally, you don't need to pay a mentor. You can just find somebody out there who speaks of a frequency that aligns with you. And that's what I do. So I always try to find whatever free time I have. I'm listening to people who've succeeded more in this matrix than I have. And with that Russ interview, he talks all about manifestation. And I was just like thinking to myself how the biggest block in people's life is thinking that they can't do something.
Yep.
That's the biggest one. Like, when you, and I talk very, carefully whenever I'm talking to people and they ask me what I'm doing and what are my plans and all this. Like, I'm very careful when I speak my spells to the universe, because I want the outcome that I'm creating. So that's just a quick preface, because when I was living in Australia before I moved back to the States, I was in Australia like right before the pandemic happened, and every night I would wake up at like 2:22, 3:33, 4:44, and it became such a pattern. And that was the last year of my life that I ever worked.
Wow, that's powerful.
Yeah, I quit my job, and I was like struggling. Like, it was really, really scary at first, because I was like, oh man, I'm living in a foreign country. I'm on a foreign visa. Like, I quit my job because I didn't align with it anymore. I was waking up every day feeling like I was telling my higher self, like, hey, I know that you know what I could do here, but I'm just going to go the opposite direction. And why would you ever do that? Like, and I try to help people with that, you know, whatever you want to do it. Like, don't surround yourself by people who tell you can't, but also, like, those numbers, those angel numbers, that's what they did for me. But I'm not going to say that that's what they've done for other people, because it's
Right.
all about how you connect to whatever it is. So I would just say that take the signs. Like if you're walking around, you're seeing a license plate that says 22, and then, all this stuff is showing you 22s. And now, like, we're entering the 22 year. Like, that's your
Mhm.
year. Like, make that your year. If that's the way you connect with it, that's what you got to do.
I love it. Okay, so that's powerful. You said that because somebody was on our live with Kevin and I just this morning and was like, I believe that tithing 10% changed my life. And I said, well, the key words is you said you believed with faith. They said, I believe. I said, because you believed it with faith and you understood that it worked for you. And so, like, that's one thing I want to talk about, specific numbers, and maybe you can answer this. But so I've been doing manifestation for a very long time, 15 years since after my suicide. I read The Secret. We have all our team members' vision boards are up on our wall. I'm staring at them right now. And so I've been doing manifestation for a long time, but there was something that shifted, and maybe it was because I truly believed it and I love Nikola Tesla, but I shifted to Nikola Tesla's manifestation November last year, the 369 method. So I do subconscious mind programming at night. I play ambient music throughout my house. It's subconscious mind programming abundance. And then I started doing the 369. So 3 times in the morning, I state my manifestation. I hold it for 17 seconds and I release it. 12 o'clock, I do 6. And then 9 o'clock at night, I do 9. And then I do my sleep programming. And literally the exact thing I said came true for the first one. So I moved it up financially to a different one, and we nailed it, and we hit it now. And now it's like, now I'm going to a whole nother level, and actually 2 things just align that are probably going to take us to that level. And it's happening fast. So is it the alignment of the numbers, the 369, or is it just my true belief in it, do you think?
I think that what we do with our imagination. I'm sorry, I think I might be getting a little echo.
You sound great on this side.
Okay, so I think what we do with our imagination or our artistic nature is we like to make things significant with our thoughts. So what happens is we can take the 369 sequence, or we could take a 245 sequence, or we could take a 9 8 11 sequence. Like, whatever sequence we believe will work for us, we will make work for us, because you're a powerful human. Like, you're someone who can make anything happen because you've done it once. If you've done it once and you've done it twice, now you could do it however you want. So what I do with my manifestations is, like, what you just said before was really solid. You set a goal and then you hit it, and then you just create another goal. Like in CEO talk, they call, like, stretch goals. That idea of just creating some insane goal that's like unachievable. But treat that stretch goal like it's the easiest thing you could possibly accomplish, and everything in between that stretch goal, where you are today and where that's going to be, just go with the flow. Like, that saying that you make a plan and God laughs. Like that kind of idea. Like,
Yeah.
it's the leading up to the success is what gets you to be, like, fearful, anxiety, stress. Like, am I gonna make it? Like, is this video good enough? Is this email that I wrote enough? Like, all that shit. Like, so getting that stuff to just be, like, on the back burner, but your outcome is already predetermined. It's predestined. You were visioning it. If you can envision that, then it'll happen. And the speed at which it happens will only be stronger with how willing you are to let go of your disbelief. So if you can let go of your disbelief, then you will be able to attract things too fast. But this is one important note for people who are new to manifesting.
Mhm.
Get ready, because sometimes it's too much.
Yes.
Sometimes it's way too much. Like, this happened with a good friend of mine, talking about, I can't get a job, I can't do this, I can't do that. And I was just talking about manifestation and, like, all this stuff. And then they get 4 job interviews. And then they're working 2 jobs, and now they're, everyone that they see, they're getting new job offers. And I'm telling them, like, you gotta be careful, because when you ask, you will receive. And are you ready to receive that? Like, if you say that you want, like, 100,000 subscribers, like, well, you got to get ready for that. Like,
Yeah.
what are you going to, how do you behave today to prepare yourself for that moment?
That's beautiful. Think about it, because that's what's the biggest thing, as you talked about. It was when I released resistance. Like, it was like when I started doing that specific manifestation. We have a physical gym here. It got shut down with the C word all that stuff. And what I think about too as a child, right? They don't have a thinking mind, or a baby that's learning how to walk, right? They have no resistance. They fall down, hit their head, they get back up. They fall down. They're like, I'm going to walk. There's no resistance. And thank God that we didn't stop them from walking, right? Because they just keep getting up. Their goal is to walk, and they fall down. There's zero resistance. But then all of a sudden around 7, 8 years old, we get the thinking mind, and then all this resistance comes in. Oh, I'm not fast enough. I'm not good looking enough. I don't have enough resources. My parents said it's not plausible or possible. And then all that resistance gets built up inside of us.
Yeah, it's a program. Like, we're programmed psychologically, spiritually, like in all ways. Like, we enter this world, and it's education that indoctrinates us into becoming structured. When you're a child, like, you're just living it. You're just living every single day. Like, nothing matters. Like, if you get a bruised knee, that's not a problem. But like a grown up getting a bruised knee is like, it destroys their genes, and then they need to buy a new pair of pants, and then they need to call off of work, and then they need to do all this stuff. They need to buy a pint of Ben and Jerry's now because they hurt themselves, so they could eat. Like, this is how the human mind works. It fractals out off of these crazy little idiosyncrasies that they're compounding. Like, compounding, speaking of Warren Buffett, like the compound interest idea, it's the same thing with your progress. Like, if you do 1% better every single day, then at the end of the year you're going to be 365% better. Like, that's a huge amount of progress, man. So like, I don't know how anyone else could take that, but for me, like, I've applied that to myself as well. Like, it's the same thing with finances. It's the same thing with whatever. Like, whatever you're trying to do here, like, it needs to be small, micro goals that are leading you up to this mountain. And just then when you get at the mountain, learn how to stay there.
Yeah, that's powerful. And that goes into crypto too, because a lot of people, I always tell people, you don't want to get what you don't deserve. You do not want to get what you don't now. And I always tell people, as you're getting ready in our Warrior Academy, I'm like, as you're preparing to become a millionaire, if that's the route you're going, the most important thing in the process of who are you becoming? That's what I always tell people, because once you get to that millionaire status that people are chasing, it's like you're just exasperating who you already are, right? So I always say, in the process of who are you becoming? So in the process of becoming a multimillionaire, and to me, it has nothing to do with money. It has to do with freeing my dome, right? And helping a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's a very important thing that I like that you bring to the table, and that our styles bring to the table. It's just, helping people. It's like, a lot of crypto YouTubers, like, we're going to get you rich in crypto. What does that mean? Like, what the hell does that mean? Like, get you rich in crypto. You can buy a Lamborghini now. What does that mean? It doesn't mean anything like that. You didn't change anything. You just changed the current physical reality, which isn't going to change. It's not going to make happiness,
100%. Like, the only difference between having $1 and $1 million is the digits on your screen of the bank account that you logged into on your phone. Like, that's really it. Like, what do you do with that money? Like, a lot of people have money and they decide to do really unnecessary things with it. Yeah. And that was a big thesis in my work behind April and May that just recently passed. I was telling a lot of people, like, hey guys, this is a very shady market structure. Like, if you're somebody who's at a high risk profile, this is probably the time to shave off some profits from the table. But again, like, now people listen because they see these big corrections come and they don't see it coming. But it's important to be safe. Like, just because someone keeps telling you every single day, XRP is going to go to $30, like every single day. Well, until that day happens, protect your neck, like, protect yourself. Because if you keep falling for these tricks on social media, like, you're going to keep getting finessed. And it's really important. It's really important that you learn that the most important person in this matrix is you. Once you're doing well, everyone in your circle will do well, period. So if you're the one that keeps failing, everyone's going to keep failing around you as well.
Oh, I love that, man. I freaking love. Yeah, it's because I'm a CEO of a company, right? And we have team members, and it's like, that's why people, I don't understand. Like, I take a lot of time to work on myself. I left and worked with shamans for 8 days to really improve myself, because the better that I do, the better my team will do. That's powerful. Well, I know I've taken an hour of your time, and so the cool thing is with the comments, I think we should do a specific YouTube video on manifestation and mindset at the same time. Maybe we'll do some crypto talk, but I think it'd be really cool. People are taking, we should take this show on the road. I just appreciate you, man, and your mindset. A couple of things that really stand out to me is, number one, the amount, people don't realize the amount of time and education it takes to be able to speak so fluently and freely with those numbers. I just want to show that respect to you. Number two is your mindset. I mean, me and him were talking before we came on here with a pre-interview about balance and showing that balance and saying, maybe, it's not about XRP. It's not about Bitcoin. It's about understanding and creating that balance within yourself. And when you create that balance within yourself, everything will flow to you. So I wanted to give you the floor for a couple minutes, what you would like to share, just maybe some closing words.
Sure. Well, yeah, starting a new month on Patreon. I'm really excited to be breaking down my thoughts on how the rest of this bull run's going to go, including the Shemitah. I have a lot of work coming out with numbers, like just numbers sharing, probably my 6-month outlook. And yeah, other than that, I will be trying to do more Gematria decodes. I've been really busy lately. I've just actually did a Gematria masterclass for the whole month of July. I decoded 4 different cryptocurrencies. So those are really awesome because I didn't have any information on them until I did the decode. So it's like a blank slate. And the decode that I'll be doing in 2 days is on XDC on Zinfin Network. And I know that you just interviewed Quincy Jones. So that's something that might be interesting to your subscribers as well. The Gematria decode on XDC with my end of the year price targets.
Yes, awesome. Well, I appreciate you, and I appreciate all the Warriors support. So please go to the description down below. You can subscribe to his channel through there. As he said, within his description, you join his Patreon group. You have the emails for interviews on, I'm sure you do podcasts and YouTube. So we appreciate you, Warriors. We appreciate all your support. As we always say, Warriors, rise. Make sure you get your shit together. Let's go.